All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the TCAT 10-minute take. It is I, your host, Sheree L. Stewart, and with me, as always, is my intrepid co-host, Don, the man, the myth, the legend, the sexual chocolate chambers. And today we are talking about our recap of
Vision.
WandaVision. This is WandaVision Part 2. We did Part 1,
hmm
which you'll have just watched, hopefully, which we talked about the first episode to the middle of the season, and now we're going to talk about the entire season as a whole. So if you haven't finished it and you don't want any spoilers, this is
You got to get
not
out of
the
here.
you get out of here, finish it, and then
Come
come back,
back.
watch part one, then watch part two, and we'll tell you our feelings about the entire of WandaVision.
hmm
But before we get started, make sure you click on the subscribe button and you click that bell to get all the 10-minute takes as soon as they drop. Now, with that out of the way,
Okay.
Mr. Chambers will go first. And I've made sure to set the timer for 10 minutes instead of
10
10
hours.
hours this time.
And
And go.
boom, WandaVision on Disney Plus. Now, from what I understand, and I've read, WandaVision was not supposed to be the first Disney Plus show to come out. I think they wanted to do Falcon and the Winter Soldier first, but because of some of the exotic locations it had that then got shut down with COVID, that had to slow down. But WandaVision, obviously, it was sort of more enclosed in one area and on one set. They were able to do that first. So I don't necessarily feel that thus far something feels out of place or that like information we probably should have gotten from another show or another movie, because like the Black Widow movie should have been out already, is missed. Like, I don't get that feeling, but maybe we'll find out as other projects come through. I don't think so, because Marvel is usually pretty good and careful about what they do. I will say, after seeing this, boy, I have a massive amount of questions as to what's going to go forward in this next phase. Um, Obviously, the most obvious questions are going to be: is Wanda going to be the villain or the good guy? And obviously, if you're watching this, you're fine with spoilers. What's now going to happen with this White Vision? I mean, those are the two most obvious questions. And then coming through underneath that are going to be questions I have about Monica Rambo. Like, what are her powers exactly? How does she fit in? It looks like we have a nod to like Skrulls and Nick Fury. We know in a roundabout way is still around. And then what becomes of Sword? So we have a lot of subplotty kind of questions, and
Mhm.
obviously some big main ones. So I'm like, cool. I'm all for questions, because now I'm like, let's get to these other shows, let's get to these other movies, let's see where these pieces fall. I will say, just for this WandaVision series or season, I don't know if there needs to be another season, because
Well, I went to the
because I'm not exactly sure if it's necessary.
right.
Because I think where they left off, and somebody can correct me, I'm not deep into um, uh, Wanda Maximoff history within the comics. I believe she's reading when it ended in that after credits scene. She's reading from the book called The Darkhold,
Hmm.
which by doing that, it's supposed to corrupt her, or I think it does that in the comics, and she goes bad for a while or something, which they seem to be sort of hinting at, you know, with that sort of, giving people the question: is she going to be the bad guy or not? So now, if that's the case, I'm like, hey, great, that's a good place to leave it off, to sort of step into the movies of possibly like the Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of
Hmm.
Madness, or who knows. Well, I don't think she'd play a role in the Eternals, but maybe there's some offshoots that deal with her in that way. So I think just one season ought to be great. Now, if there's more seasons, I'm going to trust Marvel knows what they're doing, and I absolutely look forward to it. I will say, from watching it, I enjoyed the setup. I like those first couple episodes of not knowing what's going on, but seeing weird different things. And then as the episodes go on, you're like, whoa, this is what's
Hmm.
happening. I enjoy the emotional aspect at the end of why she's doing what she is doing, although there were parts where she is saying she's not controlling this or she's not in charge here. So I'm sort of wondering, although I thought maybe they were trying to explain it that Agnes was the one controlling, but
Hmm.
I get a feeling not so much. It's weird. Like there's still some questions there, but I enjoyed the emotional aspect that came in. How her and Vision are still and will always be connected in some way, shape, or form.
Hmm.
So I'm really looking forward to even seeing her character grow even more from this, whether as a hero or a villain. Either way doesn't bother me. It's just the growth part. I'm kind of interested to see what happens there. Um, and as usual, to me, this far, Marvel doesn't make terrible moves. They might make something that's kind of okay, maybe a bit blah, but nothing they've done movie wise or TV show wise has ever been terrible. It's always thought out. They have a point. It adds to something. It adds to a greater vision, a greater world. So I think this is a great starting point, a great jump off. Lots of cool questions still to be answered, which I can't wait. Lots of a couple new, great, interesting characters. I'm glad they brought Darcy back. I think Jimmy Woo is going to be great. Hopefully, like he can get a spinoff on his own as well. I
I
think the
hope
I think
so.
the Monica Rambeau character, I can't wait to see. I'm reading everywhere she's supposed to be in the Captain Marvel 2 movie. Well, then I can't
Hmm.
wait to see her in there. It it had a lot of good stuff. I mean, I wasn't too much focused on the main story per se as to like why she created Vision. I kind of got that in the emotional part of it. I'm more so really concerned as to what's next because
Right.
that's the
Right.
thing. Like what's next, and it left a lot of great questions. So I'm pretty psyched about that. Um,
Yeah, it's interesting, the first few episodes are set in like the 50s and
mhm.
you don't know what's going on and people have forgotten how to watch TV episodically where
Yes.
they want all the information that's dumped and not have to wait for any of it. And they were like it's too slow and there was a lot of bitching and moaning about the first few episodes being completely self-contained
Hmm.
without dropping too many major hints about what's going on. It did seem like um from what I gather that Wanda, even though she wasn't controlling it intentionally, it all came
From
from
her.
her.
Okay.
And Agatha was drawn by this use of
Mm,
immense magic and she was just trying to figure out what's going on and she interjected herself
into it.
into it to figure out who was control how Wanda was doing it and controlling it because I'm assuming up until that point she's been the most powerful magical being that she's been in contact with has been
Hmm.
herself and now here comes so I don't know why she has I mean, she did mention the Sorcerer Supreme, so she does have some knowledge of,
Hmm.
probably Doctor Strange and the Ancient Ones.
Hmm.
Um, that cutscene at the end was nice, where she's reading the book in the astral plane, how Doctor Strange used to
Hmm.
read in Camartage,
Hmm.
and they played music from Doctor Strange, like the Doctor Strange hero theme music. So it's definitely this is going to tie into the Multiverse of Madness movie. I know they said that they are probably not doing another season of this.
Hmm.
Um, that's not in the plan,
Right.
but fans' reception of this show might change, that might evolve.
Mm.
I do think that this series being so different and so out of left field and so innovative as far as how to tell a story and how Marvel has been telling their stories
Hmm.
has shaken things up for other properties going forward. It'll be interesting because I know Falcon and the Winter Soldier seems a lot more regular
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
to not put too fine of a point on it, but like more in line with how the movies were.
Hmm.
But it does like seeing now some of the other trailers that are kind of dropping, it does seem more of like a buddy cop and they're playing into the humor aspect of Sam and Bucky's relationship. So maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe they're all going to be their own kind of thing that then feeds into the larger movies
Yes.
as a
Yes.
whole. And so it'll be interesting to see where they go going forward with that. It, it was, I think, all in all, it was a very successful
Hmm.
addendum. It made Age of Ultron a better movie.
True. Yes.
Um, like having the backstory, like having the Age of Ultron and WandaVision be the arc and the story of Wanda Maximoff's evolution as a character has made Age of Ultron a much better movie, which is super successful for a follow-up TV show. It's made her character, who was sort of sidelined in, Civil War, and she just kind of pops in, but you don't really get enough of what's going on with that side character. Like, it was extremely successful way to flesh out a side character. Multiple side characters, really. We're seeing more of Jimmy Woo and Monica Rambeau and Darcy, and I really hope that spinoff with them is a thing that happens with Agent Woo and Darcy and Monica Rambeau in Captain Marvel 2. I know she's had a couple of different monikers. This was an interesting way to tie in how she becomes the new Captain Marvel. I think she's Photon for a little while, like her character.
Okay.
But she gets her powers not this way, but this way was fine.
Yeah.
Because, and then because Wanda in this version was powered by the Mind Stone.
Right.
That's her connection to Vision. And I think them adding in that cameo with Evan Peters, who played Quicksilver in the X-Men universe. Yes. I'm bringing this up because it was played as if he was just another pawn in the story, and he was an actor who was brought in by Agatha Harkness. But what if he was already in that town? And she just got a random guy, but he's not a random guy, because the whole thing that kicked all of this off was Jimmy Woo was going to Westview because of somebody in witness protection.
Right.
And it could very well be him, as he is someone who is not from this universe. We don't know who he was there to see. We don't know why. And nothing like that has been given away or why. And it's not in characteristic of Marvel to drop a crumb and let it go. Like, that's going to mean something. That's going to come back somewhere.
Back. Oh yeah.
And it can be an interesting way, because up until this point, when they didn't have the X-Men properties before the merger, Wanda's powers were because of the stone. And so now we've introduced the concept of perhaps her and Pietro were already powered somehow, and it was dormant, and the stone brought it out. Whereas, everyone else they experimented on died because Wanda had these latent abilities. And then is that going to be a way to start to introduce mutants into the new MCU phases as they move forward? Yes. So it's all really exciting to see how these things are going to happen and come about and connect. And they are going to have to do a fair amount of, if not retconning, just sort of retying things in and like maybe reintroducing elements that they were prevented from because the properties were so split up.
Right.
They couldn't have mutants, so they didn't have mutants, so they were scientific experiments. But now they're scientific experiments that worked because they had these latent abilities. That's kind of how they're reworking the thought process. So it'll be cool. I think, if you haven't seen WandaVision, it's definitely one of the best things on Disney Plus right now. It's one of the best things streaming in general right now. Now the whole thing is out. It's really self-contained. You can stream it all at once. It's 100%. If this was a movie, it's worth a theater ticket.
Oh, absolutely.
It's better than Age of Ultron, and makes Age of Ultron a better movie because it exists.
Yeah,
that's how good of a movie it is, or a series it is. It's so sharp, and Catherine Hahn is amazing, and I'm glad she's getting the love that she deserves from this random role.
And she ate it up. And good for her.
Yep, good for her. Good for her.
Good for her. Yes, watch it all. It's the best thing on there. Just like, what's the best thing on YouTube? This channel. Boom. The 10-minute takes. So make sure, hit that bell, hit that subscribe notification there. So whenever we do any more 10-minute takes, you will know. Or you can go to our webpage at tcatnetwork.com, where we have all of our links to our podcast, our 10-minute takes, as well as to Good Morning Antioch and the reading, and there's new episodes of Good Morning Antioch out there, which you should definitely be listening to and watching. Make sure you get that. We're going to have, this is going to be a busy month. We're going to have the Zack Snyder Justice League cut coming out, and King Kong versus Godzilla. Those two are some biggies, so we're definitely going to watch that. Check them out. Also, I believe we've got Falcon and the Winter Soldier coming out shortly this month. So when we get a couple episodes into those as well, we'll kind of give like a first half preview, a review, I should say, of how we think that series is going as well. And then when it ends, we'll sort of wrap it up like we did for this one as well. But remember, hit that bell for notifications. Definitely subscribe, so as we do more of these, you will know. And till our next review, see ya.